I don't know if you've read, Carl Jung said that the greatest danger that humanity faces is not from any external force like natural disasters or diseases or pandemics. He said the greatest danger that humanity faces is collective psychosis. So to some extent, I see it happening, not quite as extreme yet as in places like Maoist China or Cambodia, where 1/3 of the population got murdered in Cambodia. Absurd, totally absurd ideas taking over people's minds. For example, in Cambodia, we were there a few years ago. At the time of Pol Pot, the Cambodian mad dictator, anybody who could read and write, or anybody, if you wear glasses, you were an enemy of the people because you were regarded as the oppressor and likely to be killed. If you had to show your hands and you're not doing manual work, you're one of the enemies of the people.
I'm Dave Rubin, and joining me today is one of the most widely recognized spiritual teachers on the planet. His book, The Power of Now, sold 12 million, that's million copies, and the follow-up, A New Earth, sold over 15 million copies. Both have been translated in over 50 languages. My friend Eckhart Tolle, welcome back to the Rubin Report.
Thank you, Dave. Nice to see you again.
It's great to talk to you. As my audience knows, we are at the beginning of August right now, and I am technically off the grid. I am in an undisclosed location with no technology, no phone, no computer, no news, no nothing. So we're taping this at the end of July, and I thought you would be the right person to sort of kick this month off with. So before we get to sort of the off-the-grid stuff and digital detox, I wanted to ask you just sort of what do you make of the spiritual health of the planet in this last year and a half, this sort of crazy year and a half that we've all had to deal with?
Yes, I believe crazy is quite a good word to describe it in many ways. There's been many collective challenges. The main one is the virus and the lockdowns. And various other challenges. I've had this strange feeling or idea in the past few months that a certain segment of humanity is losing the ability to think rationally. There's a decrease in whether I call it IQ or whatever it may be. There's a diminishment of rational faculty as reflected in many ways on mainstream media, social media, and so on. And another segment of humanity is actually becoming more aware, more conscious, is not drawn into the regressive phase that some of humanity may be going through. It's not unusual for humanity to occasionally, collectively regress to a lower state of consciousness. It has happened whenever a country or a collective has been taken over by an almost, one could say, toxic ideology that has completely taken possession of millions of people's minds. Look at, of course, National Socialism in Germany. The Maoist Cultural Revolution was quite crazy. What happened in Cambodia under Pol Pot, totally crazy ideas invaded millions of people's minds and reduced their ability to actually engage in rational thinking and things that happened, for example, in Maoist China during the Cultural Revolution. children reporting on their parents when they were angry with their parents. All they had to do is go to school and report their parents if they had said something against the government. The parents would be taken away, never seen again. They went around public parks in big cities in China tearing out flowers because beauty was regarded as bourgeois. You had to kill your pets, your dogs and cats. Totally, and these are just a few examples of totally toxic and irrational thoughts taking over people's minds. So that's, to some extent, I've been seeing this happening collectively, not just in one country, in quite a few many Western countries that I'm aware of. And but it has not affected everybody. Some people have managed to remain aware. They have not been, one could say, infected by what one could perhaps call a mental virus or mental viruses that reduce people's ability to actually see reality. Reality then gets distorted through the veil of these mental viruses that have taken over people's minds. This is a more serious pandemic than anything that happens on the physical level as far as pandemics are concerned, the actual viruses. Actually, I don't know if you've read, Carl Jung said that the greatest danger that humanity faces is not from any external force like natural disasters or diseases or pandemics. He said the greatest danger that humanity faces is collective psychosis. So to some extent, I see it happening, not quite as extreme yet as in places like Maoist China or Cambodia, where 1/3 of the population got murdered in Cambodia. Absurd, totally absurd ideas taking over people's minds. For example, in Cambodia, we were there a few years ago. At the time of Pol Pot, the Cambodian mad dictator, anybody who could read and write, or anybody, if you wear glasses, you were an enemy of the people because you were regarded as the oppressor and likely to be killed. If you had to show your hands and you're not doing manual work, you're one of the enemies of the people. They sent them away, got killed. 1/3 or more of the population got exterminated through insanity taking over people's minds. To some extent, so that you no longer can see reality as it is. The famous example from 1984, Orwell, you have to believe that 2 + 2 = 5. And
right.
If you don't believe it, then you are the enemy.
Which is sort of what we're being told these days from some pretty powerful people and some pretty powerful people that are pushing bad ideas. But I suspect that you think if more people lived in the moment, if more people harness the power of now, that would be the best inoculation from this mind virus?
Yes, inoculation, or to have inoculation is one word one could use. The key is immunity. I think I would use immunity. Mm-hmm. The key is what we could call awareness, or I sometimes call it presence. Awareness. It's this awareness or presence is nothing complicated, or it's the ability to become aware of your thoughts. So you can take a step back and observe what thoughts are going through your head. For example, when this ability arises, I call that the beginning of a spiritual awakening. Spiritual is no longer being completely trapped and identified with the movement of thinking. This is particularly important now. The danger of infection, viral infection on a mental level has always been there, but it's now become magnified by the technology that we now have. A toxic idea, a toxic thought can spread like wildfire through the internet within a few days and can take possession or become lodged in countless people's minds. And once a thought has become lodged, then it will attract associated thoughts that resonate with it. And then suddenly you see reality through the veil of that irrational thinking, but you don't know that this is happening because you do not have the immunity of awareness.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about spirituality instead of nonstop yelling, check out our spirituality playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, check out our full episode playlist. They're all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.